Your teacher today is Dr. Bosa, Science. Dr. Bosa is a teacher at the Science Foundation College, the best school that teaches sciences. Today, we are going to study geography, paper 2, urbanization and port development in the world. Urbanization is the process where there is an increasing percentage of the country's population living in towns. It is also a process of town development in terms of population and function. A city is an urban area differentiated from a town by high population density, importance, and legal status. A port is a harbour town or a city where ships take on or discharge cargo. Ports usually develop into cities. A site of a port refers to the actual ground where the port is built or situated. This includes the harbour, the port built-up area, and the docking area. Hinterland of a port refers to the area served by a port. That is, the area which supplies food or where exports and imports are handled. A conurbation is a continuous urban belt or complex formed due to amalgamation of two or more cities. Examples of conurbations include Japan conurbation consists of Osano, Kobe, Kyoto complex, and Tokyo, Kawasaki, Yokohama complex. Causes of urbanization. The causes of urbanization are categorized as push and pull factors. Pull factors: presence of security and political stability in urban areas like Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, and so on. Presence of employment opportunities in cities such as Lagos, Ibadan, Nairobi, Johannesburg, and so on. Presence of better social services like electricity for domestic use, running water for drinking, health centers, and so on. Presence of efficient means of transport such as railways, roads, canals, airfields, and so on, that enable movement of people to and from work, and transportation of commodities to and from the market. Supportive government policies such as urban planning, development of infrastructures like roads and railways, establishment of markets, administrative structures, and so on. The push factors include insecurity or political instability in some areas that force people to move from insecure areas to secure urban areas. Unemployment in rural areas push people from rural areas to urban areas. Population pressures or limited land in remote areas such as Nigeria has forced people to migrate in large numbers to other areas with limited populations, resulting into growth of urban towns. The limited social services in villages or upcountry, such as recreation, health facilities, education, lead to movement of people to urban areas. Natural calamities such as droughts, floods, and diseases in some parts of the country force people to live in certain areas, and these grow into urban areas. The nature of land tenure system. forced and displaced people to other areas which later grow into towns. Decline in the productivity of land has led to limited food harvested, and this has forced people to migrate to other areas which are relatively developed, resulting into their growth as urban centers. Undesirable cultural practices such as female circumcision in some communities have forced people to move to towns which later grow into urban areas. Historical factors in areas which had social problems like slave trade belts in West Africa forced people to leave those areas and congest in smaller situate areas that grew into urban centers. Poor and unreliable transport facilities have forced people to go to urban areas where these are well developed. The love of adventures has compelled many people from villages to migrate and go to other areas that are relatively developed, and thus turning them into urban centers. Positive effects of urbanization: creates revenue from various economic activities such as transport, service sector, and so on. Urbanization improves the provision of social services like health care, education, electricity for domestic use, and so on. Urbanization has led to development of transport routes such as roads, railways, airports, and so on. Urban centers contribute to the supply of both skilled and semi-skilled labor, important for development of industrial sector and the service sector. Urban centers like Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja provide the market for both agricultural and industrial products. Urban centers like Lagos creates employment opportunities from which people earn incomes to improve their standards of living. Urban centers such as Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja attract investments which are important for development of the country. Urban centers such as Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja have promoted unity and cooperation between people of different tribes, religion, and ideological backgrounds. This promotes security, harmony, and national development. Urban centers with their modern infrastructure such as high buildings, railways, recreation facilities, museums have promoted tourism, which is a source of foreign exchange. Urban centers contribute to full utilization of resources. For example, sand is exploited and used for building houses. Fishing is done to provide fish proteins. Urbanization reduces pressure on land in rural areas, thus encouraging agriculture. Negative effects of urbanization. Urbanization is associated with development of slums with their associated evils such as congestion, poor hygiene, poor accommodation, and so on. Urbanization leads to a strain on social services like roads, water, electricity, healthcare, and so on. Urbanization leads to air, water, and land pollution due to industrial effluents and dumping of domestic wastes. Urbanization leads to loss of desirable cultural practices such as marriage, proper dressing, religion, and many others. Urbanization leads to loss of labor from rural areas, resulting into decreased food production and leading to famine. Urbanization promotes unemployment in towns like Nairobi, Lagos, leading to low standards of living. Urbanization promotes juvenile delinquency, where a number of street children increase in the city, and these often live in misery and may be a threat to the development of the city. Urbanization tends to accelerate flooding of the city due to poor planning and constructions that block urban drainage channels. Urbanization encourages encroachment on marginal lands like forests, swamps, and so on. Urbanization leads to high cost of living in the form of accommodation, transport, feeding, healthcare, and so on. General factors that favor development of a port. Physical factors. Favorable climate, for example, ice-free conditions. Deep water for anchoring of large ships. Hardened basement rocks for port construction. Low tide range. The gently sloping relief for port construction, sheltered natural harbor from strong ocean waves, for example, Hong Kong. Strategic location along international waterways. Extensive and productive interland. Presence of land for expansion. Other factors include availability of capital for construction of the port structures, presence of labor, both skilled and unskilled, for port development, favorable government policies for port development, political stability in the country to ensure continual investment on the port, presence of other transport networks or facilities to bring imports and take away exports. Research to modernize the technology for port construction and handling services. Presence of power such as hydroelectricity, thermal power, nuclear power, and so on. Development of industries. Historical factors such as settlements by early explorers. Positive contributions of ports to the development of the country. Ports handle imports and exports of a country. Ports provide employment opportunities in the form of managers, handlers, clearing agents, and so on. Ports are sources of government revenues from taxes. Ports promote development of tourist industries, which bring foreign exchange for development. Ports promote development and provision of social services such as medical, education, commercial, that lead to better standards of living. Ports promote national and international unity by facilitating trade among countries. Ports encourage development of industries due to the large population, leading provision of market. Ports lead to improvement of transport routes like railways, roads, airports, to facilitate transportation of raw materials to industries and merchandise to the market centers for sale. Ports promote high innovation and technology necessary for development of industrial, agriculture, and service sector. Ports provide skilled and unskilled employment. Ports promote full utilization of available natural resources such as land, minerals, thus stimulate development. Ports promote agriculture through demanding for agricultural commodities like milk, beef, wheat, rice, and so on, to feed their high population. Negative contributions of ports. They encourage rural-urban migration with associated problems such as spread of diseases, congestion, poor hygiene, and so on. Overexpansion of ports results into takeover of productive agricultural land, resulting into food scarcity and malnutrition. Expansion of ports result into destruction of vegetation as land is cleared for settlement. Expansion of ports leads to air, water, and soil pollution from oil spillage, industrial effluents, and dumping of domestic wastes. Growth of ports leads to traffic congestion that causes delay of business. Growth of ports leads to erosion of culture due to amalgamation of people with different cultures. Growth of ports leads to shortage of productive labor force in rural area due to rural-urban migration. Development of ports leads to regional imbalance, whereby ports are more developed than remote areas. Development of ports leads to increased government expenditure through provision of social services. Selected ports or cities. New York is located northeast of USA on a number of islands, including Long Island, Manhattan Island, Governor's Island, and so on. Physical factors that led to the development of New York as a port. presence of deep and sheltered natural harbor that allows big ships to sail and anchor along the area. As free conditions allow business throughout the year. New York is located in an area that experiences a low tide range, which makes landing and anchoring of ships of all sizes. Relatively flat relief facilitated construction of very tall buildings such as the Empire State Building, airports, and so on. Numerous islands around New York, such as Governor Islands, provide good defense, strategic location, and shelters the city against strong sea waves. Existence of hard basement rocks along Manhattan Island and others provide a strong base for big buildings, railways, and roads. Strategic location in the middle of North America and along a busy transatlantic route to Europe, Africa, provide business opportunities in New York. Presence of a rich productive hinterland that provides minerals, agricultural goods to New York for the purpose of imports and exports. Other factors that led to the development of New York as a port: high level of technology in the form of civil, electrical, mechanical, engineering, and so on. Presence of well-developed transport networks such as roads, railway, tunnels, bridges, and so on. Existence of enough capital to construct ports and handling facilities. Political stability and security in USA has favored longer-term investment in New York. Existence of favorable government policies that attract trade in New York. For example, relatively low taxes, quick customs clearance, and forwarding services. Existence of administrative functions. For example, New York is the headquarters of United Nations. Presence of many tourist attractions that bring in many people to carry out business transactions. Existence of large affluent populations of over 80 million people. Existence of various employment opportunities in New York, such as textile, precision industries, service industry, transport industry, and so on.